tell you that, Paul Carson.
With head coach Harry Kirk. He's coming off of a season that was successful in a sense, that he won 22 games and lost 2, but disappointing, and that perhaps he, as well as many of the Harts fans, expected to go all the way last year and win the state championship. They were ranked high in the poll all year. We're coming into this season, however, with high expectations again, I would think, with 5 out of the top 6 returning players from last year's team. What do you got to say about this year's team, Harry?
Well, I've been in the business long enough to know that you can coach basketball and teach your philosophy and try to get kids to do a lot of things that you believe. But the one thing that we have this year that you don't teach is experience. And we did have a good team last year. We had a great team last year, but you got to remember that several of our kids, well, all of them with the exception of Andy and Eric, were first-year varsity players. And a lot of times, even though we had the great regular season, that'll catch up with you. And I like this year's team, and I guess if we wanted to talk about a real strong factor for the team, it would be the experience. Okay, so experience is the key word for this year's team. Experience, perhaps in a lot of ways. You have, I believe Eric has started practically every game, or maybe every game for 2 years. You had Darren Furl and Jeff Hughes started, I guess, every game last year. And yes. Jason and Scooter started approximately 12 games apiece. That would be experience as far as those 5. Are there others that you expect to play a major role? You can't win a ball game sometimes with just 5. You need 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 players. How's that look down the line this year? Well, right now, we've kind of got it narrowed down to 7 players. Brian Browning, Jug, we call him. If I keep referring to him as Jug, you know what I'm talking about, Brian. Everybody knows him as Jug. Jug's a sophomore, and he played for a freshman team last year. And we had a fine freshman team last year. I think they finished something like 18-2, and they won the Boone Lincoln Conference and the tournament as well. And he's really looked good. He has looked real good in practice up to this point. And he's a guard, he's a point guard, and right now we're swinging him both ways. I've been playing him some on the wing because I like his shooting touch, and he's a fine passer. The other young man of the 7 that I think is going to help us a whole lot is Ron Agnes, and I think I've said this to Ron, and I think I can say it without hurting anybody's feelings. Ron doesn't have a lot of basketball talent. He's about 6 foot, and but I will say this: he's the best tussler we got on the team, and he played JV ball last year, and he's worked awfully hard up to this point, and we've been running in and out with the first group, and he's been very impressive with his hustle. And he may not look real pretty, but he's up to this point, he's sure been getting the job done. Okay, so that's a look at the first 7 as it stands about 2 weeks before the season starts. Things can change before then. You mentioned a freshman team that was 18-2 or something like that last year. They were champions. I believe they won their last 18 games in a row. I think maybe they lost the first 2 or 2 out of the first 3. I think you might be right there. Yes, a real good freshman team. And do you have others that was on that freshman team that's on your team, maybe not in the starting role or anything like that, but others that's going to be on the team this year? Well, I'm hoping to get some inside help from a couple of kids. Vincent Wiley, he's about 6 foot, 6'1" maybe. He might be up to about 6'1" now. And Lyle Topping is not hardly as tall as he is, but he has a real athletic body on him. He's a real strong kid. He's about 5'10", and of course he plays inside. I know that's not very big. I'm hoping with one of those 2 guys, and I really can't tell which one of them is going to emerge at this time. They've taken spells the last 2 weeks that one of them will come to the front and then he'll slack off and the other one will. And I'm hoping to get some help from one of those. And
if they keep working like they have been, and keep working hard, I think one of them, or maybe both of them, could give us some help inside.
And then you have approximately 10 or 12 other sophomores that's on the team as a junior varsity or varsity player.
Right.
One or the other. It's kind of a polarized team.
Yeah.
Seniors and sophomores.
Seniors and sophomores. It's kind of a peculiar situation. I've never had a lineup with just seniors and sophomores like that before.
Okay, let's move back to your seniors now. We've mentioned their names. Let's look at them in just a little bit of detail. I'll start with the one with the most experience, Eric McCann. He started as a sophomore, played one game in the state tournament, started all the time last year, provided some stability, along with Andy Paul, to provide a good nucleus for last year's team. What do you expect out of Eric this year?
Ronnie, probably the thing that Eric will lend to us this year more than any other time is leadership. The other kids look to him for leadership, and he's been he's been a multi-talented player the last 2 years. We've played him practically everywhere. As a sophomore, he played inside on offense and did a great job. Last year, we ran him in and out. He played high post on the inside some, and he played a lot of wing last year, mostly a wing player. At times, which we were very fortunate last year in that Andy didn't get in a lot of foul trouble, but if he did, we used him as a backup point guard. And my philosophy, to have a successful basketball team, you've got to have a good point guard and you've got to have a good center. And if you don't have both of them, you've got to at least have one. And even though Eric has played little point guard at this time, that's where we're playing him this year. And I think that the team plays better. I think our whole flow of the game, we just look better when Eric plays point for us, especially in our running game. He's a good passer. He's always been a good passer. But if I was going to say any one thing about him that he will contribute more as, I think it's going to be as our leader. He's just going to be our coach on the floor.
Okay, so you mentioned two types of players that's necessary for a successful team, a point guard and a center. I suppose your center this year will be Jeff Hughes.
Yeah, Jeff, Jeff never played in junior high ball, and I got him to come out and play JV as a sophomore. And by the time March rolled around for a first-year player, I was really impressed with Jeff, and he played on the JV team. And he stepped right in last year and did an adequate job for us. He did a fine job for a second-year player. He was our second leading rebounder, and he averaged up around 10 points a game, unless I'm mistaken. I can't remember exactly what the scoring averages were, but I think it was around 10, 11 points a game. And he's gotten somewhat stronger, and he works real hard. He doesn't have the best set of hands in the world, but I think he's going to do a good job for us, and I think he's going to do a great job on the boards. He's looked real good in practice at this point.
Okay, so we've talked about experience, we've talked about leadership, point guard, center. Another thing that comes to mind as I think about basketball this year in particular is a rule change. The three-point goal, shooting outside. When I think of that rule change, I can't help but think of Darren Furl.
Yeah, you can't think of that rule change without Darren coming to mind. That's a true statement. Darren is a great shooter. He's from the time he's in 10th grade. We give a little trophy away at our sports banquet in the spring to our best foul shooter. And I'm sure you can recall that we dressed him for the varsity games. We got a tee call. Team got a tee call on him or anything when he was a sophomore. This little short, chubby, fat 10th grader. Doughboy was his nickname, and we called him off the bench, to shoot our foul shots, and he'd maybe never play another minute. And he's always been a great shooter. He's led the team in free throw shooting the last 2 years, and he's our best outside shooter. He is a great outside shooter, and
he's grown a little bit over the summer.
He's grown over the summer. That's what impresses me more about him than anything else. He's grown some over the summer, and he's picked up quite a bit of aggressiveness, a lot more aggressive than what he's been in the past, and that's, to me, has been one of his major weaknesses. I've preached that to him for 2 years, and it seems as though that he has gotten more aggressive.
Okay, with Darren able to pop it in from anywhere on the floor, plus his aggressiveness and his added height. Another quality that comes to my mind is another aspect of the game, a little bit closer to the bucket, and that's the ability to stuff it with a dunk shot. I know you got at least one player that can do that, Jason.
We have two kids that can dunk the ball. Hughes is up to about 6'3". We was talking about him a minute ago. He's up to about 6'3", and he has no problems at all dunking the basketball. But it's really a lot of fun to get up here sometimes and just sit and watch Jason. You just can't believe that a kid 5'10", 10.5", 5'11", somewhere through there, he's no 6-footer, can dunk the basketball like he can. I mean, he can cradle it, and of course he's a Laker fan, and he's been working on his worthy dunk, and it's just unreal to watch him jump and dunk the basketball, and we're expecting big things out of him this year.
And he can pop it a little bit from the outside.
Yes, he can. Yes, he can. And probably if I was going to pick a three-point shooter other than Darren, it would be Jason. Jason, I'd like to go ahead and say, he's kind of had a rough preseason. We're halfway through the preseason. He's been hurt quite a bit this year. He's had a groin pull. He's had some problem with his earaches and everything. His timing's off a little bit right now, but I'm hoping by the 18th he'll be back in top form.
Okay, we got experience, we got leadership, outside shooting, inside shooting. But perhaps the one quality that best exemplifies Harts Creek basketball is defense. And when I think of defense, I can think of one player, Scooter Wiley, that is a great defensive player.
I tell my kids all the time in practice, why can't the rest of you kids use your hands like Scooter? He does it in a way that you wished all your kids could. He does so good reaching in on when his man is shooting the jump shot, and I'm not talking about reaching across the body or beating and hacking and fouling. If he's playing a man face up and that man goes up for that jump shot, he gets more hands on the ball than just about any kid I've ever coached. And it's a pleasure to watch a kid like that know how to use his hands. He's very quick, and he's a fun type of player to watch. He's not doesn't have the best offensive skills in the world, but people enjoy watching him because he's one of those type of guys that's always on the floor at the ball. You'll see him in one place on the floor in a few minutes, and there'll be a loose ball over there, and maybe he'll come out with and you'll say, hey, they have two of those. Where did he come from? And he's just one of those type of players. He just runs all over the floor, and kind of like the old saying goes, he's like a chicken with its head cut off. He's just all over the place. And he's a fun kid to be around. He's enjoyable to watch. He's tough defensive, but very good.
Okay, so we've got experience, leadership, defense. We've got depth this year. Looks to me like that's the makings of a successful basketball team.
Well,
get it all pulled together.
We're hoping to. I think we're going to have a fine basketball team. I really do.
What about your schedule? That influenced the outcome of this year's team.
That's what I was wanting to get into. I think we're going to have a fine basketball team, and you can't have a team. You can't lose a player like Andy Paul Williamson and not miss him. Because he's just comes along once in a lifetime. And
I just would comment. We're having this interview here on December 4th, a couple weeks before the season starts. And I understand that Andy Paul is going to be starting tonight for Marshall University.
Yeah, they open up tonight in their MMI, and he'll be their starting point guard. And Daisy's birthday. It's a nice birthday present. Just hope he plays well. But getting back to their schedule.
Get back to the schedule. That's
getting back to their schedule. We're going to have a fine basketball team. I think it would be unfair to these kids, if at the end of the season we looked and said, last year's team was 20-1, and this year's team didn't have that record. They're not a very good basketball team. I hope we win them all, and I think we do have a shot at winning them all. I don't think we're going to go on the floor at any time and be outclassed to the point where you say, well, here's one we chalked up in the loss column. However, we play some very fine basketball teams this year. This is the best schedule, maybe I've said this last year and year before, but that's something that I've been working on now for 11 years, is improving our basketball schedule.
At least numerically, you've got 11 AA games.
Yeah, we play 11 AA games and 10 single A games. And, what comes to mind is, I think of Kermit and Lenore, who's always been two of the better teams on our schedule anyhow, combining over there. And Kermit lost 2 players.
And that'll be Tug Valley this year.
That will be Tug Valley. Kermit lost 2 players off their team. And Lenore lost one. I'm talking about off the entire team. That's the way I understand it. So, that ought to be a super ball club. And we combine. We play Tulsa High School, which is Fort Gay and Crum combined. And I do know that Crum has all 5 starters back off of a team that won 9 ball games last year, and I don't know what they're going to pick up from Fort Gay. And while I'm over in the area, I definitely don't want to leave Birch out. I think that Birch is going to be one of the top 5 teams in Class A this year. I really do. I think they're going to have a super team.
Yeah, I would agree with you about Birch. They have, I believe, 4 starters back, including an excellent point guard, and then this Scott Caudill, who averaged close to 30 points a game last year as a sophomore.
He led the tri-state area, the Huntington area, the Herald Dispatch. He led them in scoring last year. They're going to be fantastic, And so we've got 3 teams over in that area. That's really going to bolster our schedule. And we play Chapmanville. People talking about Chapmanville going to be down and all this stuff. I know what it's like to play Chapmanville. Played Chapmanville 7 times in 11 years, and we've won 1 ball game. And so you can't, I don't care what people says. You go to Chapmanville and play. If you play Chapmanville, you're going to be in for a game. I know it's a big rivalry between the 2 schools, and that's a tough place to go for your opener is against Chapmanville. And that's where we open up at. I can go on about Chapmanville. I guess look at some of the other teams. Man, I think it's going to have an excellent ball club. They had a good junior high team last year. And it'll play our county game.
Be playing man about 3 times.
Right. I think I haven't gotten the papers officially on it, but I think that we're going to be paired against them the first night in the CIT. So we still have our Vincent game down at the Henderson Center, and that ought to be fun. So we got a great schedule, very tough schedule.
Okay. One thing I recall in the interview with Vic Herbert at Logan that we talked at some length was the tradition at Logan High School, and I'm of the opinion that the tradition is just as rich here at Harts Creek. I can recall back in the days when I was a little boy, my brothers were playing on the team back in the 50s, and there was actually a couple of games I went to over at Hanlon. As far as I know, maybe they were sitting on the other side, but me and my mom was about the only Harts Creek fans present. And it's hard to compare that to this day and time when the gym is packed. I know back about 1964, we had our first winning season here. Won a sectional championship and a regional runners-up. I believe he was about in the 9th grade that year. And there's been a winning tradition ever since then. How will that affect this year's team? Does that tradition hold over from one year to the next?
I think so. If you've got the program going, and thank the good Lord, the program was in high gear whenever I got the job 11 years ago. And, we can go back and thank our blessings for Kyle Garrettson, who started the whole shebang. And Kyle got the program off on the right foot, and he coached here for 10, 11 years, I think, and did a great job. And, you got people like me that's coaching, and Coach Dingus, and of course Coach Dempsey's not with us anymore. He used to be a junior high coach. And it's spilled all the way down to the grade schools for our feeder system, and we all pretty well play the same way. We try to play the same way, and we stress the same things. And to me, that's what tradition is. And I think as long
these coaches that you missed were coaches who played under Kyle Garrettson.
Right, yeah, even down into the grade school system. So it's one of those things that has a carryover effect, and tradition is a great thing to have on your side.
Okay, any other thoughts or comments about the season or anything else you'd like to say for this preview program?
Well, I think the people that have been coming to our ball games, and I can't say enough about them. The last 3 years, I think the success you have, filters down and not just win and losing. Of course, I know that's the big thing if you want to talk about success. But the people in our community that comes to our ball games and supports our basketball team helps chalk up those W's for us. The last 3 years, of course, polls are polls. A lot of people say, well, I don't pay attention to them, but don't let anybody tell you that. That's not true. But people enjoy picking up the paper and seeing where they're ranked. And the last 3 years we have been ranked in the top 5 since the first poll come out all the way through Andy's 3 years that he played for us. And I think, that our fans, should take pride in that. And I really appreciate
Never dropped out of the top 5 for 3 years.
Right. And I think that our fans had a lot to do with that. I mean, you come here and people were in awe of our fans. We had, they're just hanging on the rafters. And as far, as our fans go, we got the greatest fans in the world. And I would, before we close the show down, I'd really like to thank them and hope that they do keep supporting the Harts Lions.
Well, I'd like to invite all of the Harts fans to come to all the games this year. I think they're in for a treat. We've got a good home schedule, a good away schedule. I just want to say that I'm looking forward. I've been really anxiously anticipating this season. I think it's going to be a special season, and I'm looking forward to each and every game. And I just want to say good luck, Harry. And let's bring on the Creek.
Do the best we can, Rob. Thank you very much.